continue. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel Schramm, and I am a health educator working at the Iowa Cancer Consortium in Iowa City. A lot of my work has been in cancer control, but I have dabbled in state and local public health. So I worked at the Iowa Department of Public Health as a program manager over the cancer programs. And then I also did a little 2.5-year stint at Lynn County Public Health and got trained as a PIO there. So I know Canva pretty well. I do it for my yoga business on the side. And then I've also done a lot with our organization's Facebook. And I just actually really enjoy playing around with it. And Anne is one of my very good friends. And so she said, you have to come on and, just teach us what we don't know. So that's really what I'm here to do today. So I was going to say, I'm going to kind of start just with some of the super basic stuff, but definitely feel free to interrupt me or type in the chat. I will try to watch that too. But really just want the session to be super helpful and useful for you. And if I don't have the answer for you, I will definitely find it. How's that for a PIO answer? So I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen here. Okay, can you see my Canva? Okay, perfect. I have 8,000 windows open. So, okay, so again, please interrupt me if you have any questions. And Anne, if you'll help me watch the chat. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Anne.
I know, what a blessing and a curse, that mute button.
No.
I'm just gonna let you know, one Sarah Taylor Watts came in. So
awesome. Hey, Sarah.
Physical activity herself, Sarah Taylor Watts from IDPH. And I was just gonna let people know, you can pin Rachel and her video to your screen. So if you hover over Rachel's video and just pin her to the screen, her little video will just go on your side, and then, but you can still see her screen share full screen. So sometimes with multiple videos, that's a good thing to do. So just a PSA on that, but sorry, Rachel, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say Canva is a newer technology, and I just kind of wanted to go into what are other alternatives that you could use and why our organization ultimately landed on Canva. In short, Canva is a lot cheaper than an Adobe license. And honestly, I think it's a lot more user-friendly. It also has a bunch of templates that you don't have to recreate the wheel. So you can find something that you like and then adapt it to your needs. The other really cool thing is you can have, if you don't have a budget, or if you don't have money in your budget for something like this, you can use the free account, and it's really good. It's not as good as the pro account, but it will still work. But if you are able to have money in your organization to pay for a monthly or annual subscription, you get access to more templates, a lot better quality pictures that you're able to use without worries about copyright or anything. And then you're also able to collaborate as a team. So, if you do have a PIO team or something like that, or, a community health manager that, doesn't want to do the design work, but wants to edit the content, you all can work together on the same designs, which we really like as part of our team. So any questions there? I was hoping that everybody has an account and that maybe we can kind of do a little demo later. But for local public health, I think this is just great. And especially during pandemic times, I think the more that we can work together and share templates, the better. So hopefully this will make your jobs easier. I was going to say, I'm just going to go through some of the basics on the home screen right now, and then we'll kind of dig into editing a little bit more if that works. All right. So hi, Mary. I see you on there. All right, so this is the home screen. Like I said, the consortium, we pay for the Canva Pro account just because we use it all the time for things like any social media posts that we do. We use it for our annual reports. We use it for when we did go out and exhibit, we would use it for little postcards and stuff, because you can actually get things printed from Canva, and they actually do a really great job. So this is what you see. The places that you're always going to want to go are here in the top and here on the side. That's kind of your navigation menu. So all of our designs, if I click on that, this will pull up everything that we've ever created. So you can see like our final report that we haven't released yet. We have Facebook banners, we have, you know, booklets about HPV, everything we have in here. So it's really nice to be able to see that. And again, if someone else from our team is working on it, I'm going to be able to see it. Your recent designs are just things that, you know, obviously you've done within the last couple of days. You can also share between teams. So you'll see I have some stuff from Iowa Immunizes and from the Public Health Conference, because other people that have a Canva account have shared a design with me. So I can edit it on my account, and that'll all be there. Anne wanted me to go over with the Canva Pro account, something that really saves you a lot of time is you have the ability to create a brand kit. So you are able to put in the various logos that you have. If you have a couple, you're able to put in your brand colors, and then you're also able to add additional colors and fonts. And this is super helpful because when you go in to create a design, these things are already there for you. So you don't have to go through and, you know, type in a hex code looking for your navy blue that you need. It's all right here. And we'll see when we go into the design part, but this is often what people want the Pro account for, is to have this information in here. A newer tool that we don't use, but I would imagine would be really helpful, is that Canva came out with a content planner. So again, with a Pro account, you're able to actually schedule posts to go out on social media. And I think it's up to like 7 platforms. We don't use this currently because we're still using Hootsuite, which is another online program. We have an account there, and that's just what's working best for us right now. But this is definitely something that we want to get into. And then if you're a very type A organized, you can actually like put things into categories. So if you would only want to keep, you know, your items for a specific event, like we have our annual conference, the Cancer Summit. So I kind of put all the design stuff into there so I can go in and see everything that I have. But I could definitely see local public health departments doing that. If you have like just, you know, everything about masking up, that could go in a folder. Everything about vaccine clinics could go in there. And that just, again, makes it really easy for your team to not have to be overwhelmed by all the designs that you've created. So that's kind of that left banner. I'm going to go just home again. The other neat thing, like I said, that people really love Canva for is the templates. It's kind of ridiculous how many templates they have. And this is super great because if you had something like, you know, like an account in Adobe or something like that, you would always have to go in and say like, oh, I want a 2x2 picture, or I want this and that. With Canva, it already has a lot of the dimensions in there. So a lot of that pre-work is finished for you. So whether you need, you know, I don't know, like art for your YouTube channel, if you need a LinkedIn banner, if you need a business card, like all of those dimensions are already in here. That makes it really easy for you to just pull up. So I am just going to do, I'm going to pull up one example. So we use Facebook posts often. So if you click on the Facebook post templates, you'll see in here, a lot of times it's cool. Canva changes like whatever season it is. So obviously like Valentine's Day posts. So these are some of the designs that you could choose, and you're able to modify any of the text or colors to what you need. But again, one really neat thing about Canva is you're actually able to, they have a coronavirus section, which I think a lot of people, like you've probably seen some of these on social media, but again, this is pretty cool to like look through and just see like what other people may have created, or at least just get some like creative inspiration for what you could use for your own posts. So any questions this far? So what I did earlier today was I just picked a template. And I just thought we'll go with, yes, we're open, we have masks. Masks are required. So I don't know if you can see my cursor, but up here on the right corner, this is where you'll input your title. And as you can see, the colors purple and yellow are not what our brand colors are. So what you're gonna do is all of these are just little shapes. So you'll see this is actually a rectangle, but they made it look like a triangle. When I click on that, my little yellow box comes up here to show me that this is the yellow color that we're using. If I wanna change that, I click on it, and look, my brand colors are right here. So I can decide if I want our navy, our green, our blue. So I'm just gonna go with one of our blues. Then I'm gonna come down here to this other giant rectangle, and I'm gonna switch this up too, and I'll just make it our green. The other really neat thing that they have is, you know, this purple is fine, but if I really wanna get brandy with it, I can go ahead and highlight this person that they have in there in the template. And again, I'm able to go in and change, I don't want her green, but I'm able to change any color that I want to match our brand better.
So Christina just asked if you can only set brand colors with a paid account.
Yes. So yes. And the way that you know that is there's this little like Canva crown that'll pop up, and that'll show you that it's like a premium paid account feature. So great question. The other thing that you can do is you can pick a new, you can create a new color. So I've never really typed these in here, but I could just type in like a brown and then, you know, get whatever color I need. But you can also go in here and you can put in this little like numeric code, which I can't remember if this is a hex code or what the name of it is, but one of the tools that I am going to share with you is kind of how you figure out like if you need help pulling out what your brand colors are. I can help you find that if you want. There's some online tools that'll help you do that. But then you can like easily put it in here to say like, I don't even know what this color is, but you could put it in there and your account will come up. So any other questions about kind of changing those colors? Sorry, I don't know why she's getting all green. Okay. The other thing that I know really caused a lot of problems for me is the layering. So I'm hoping that you all are nodding your heads, but it's something that can kind of get really confusing. So if you just imagine like, you know, working on this template that you just have a bunch of like, think of it as like you're scrapbooking and you have all these different pieces and you can decide what overlays what. So right now the yes, we're open. I'm gonna move this a little bit. This is behind our text. So the way that we can switch how that looks is we can go up here to position on this top bar. And when we click on that, we get just a lot of different prompts. And the way that you switch the layout is just forward. That'll cover everything. So that's not what we want. So I'll move it backward. And where it gets a little bit more complicated is if I wanted like this green or something to be overlaid on top, it'll actually give me some more, it should give me some more options, but you basically just want to play around with what that looks like to get the layering. And this is really important when you do have text. That's like the thing that you need to make sure that you have your bases covered there. Otherwise, I was just gonna, a couple of notes. If you're interested, like maybe I don't want this text at all, like I want something completely different, I can go over to the left-hand side and there's just like a bunch of little icons for what I can add. So at the top is templates. So if I would want to switch that up to like a Valentine's Day one or something real quick, that's how you do it. The uploads tab is you can upload either images, video, or audio from either your like desktop computer a Facebook account, a Google Drive, Instagram, or Dropbox. So I'm just going to click on device, and you might see like I have a picture of Danielle. Like maybe I want her in my advertisement. So it's kind of cute. It looks like a water jug filling up for when it's all done. If I wanted to, I could just drag her image over here. You'll notice when I did drag it, I'm going to do it one more time. When I drug it over, sometimes it'll go like huge, and that's okay for some pictures that you want to be like that, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. So, but this is just a bank of photos that you're able to put in there. So again, we have some that we use for like speakers or like graphs or something like that, that we use on a regular basis. So that might be something that you want to upload, but we've never hit the space limit. So feel free to put that in there as well. The other thing that is really cool is you can actually, with the Pro account, you're able to look for photos on your own. So this would be like stock images. So I have done a lot of searching for these lately because I'm the communications chair for Iowa Immunizes. So I have typed in vaccine a whole lot. So you'll see all of these pictures here, and you really have to like use good discretion in like what pictures you're going to choose for yours, because there are so many options, but like you really need to make sure that you're putting in the search bar like kind of exactly what you want. And then if you think that you find something, maybe do a little bit more digging to see if you could find like a better picture, a more diverse representation of what you found, or maybe try searching something else. So when I do type in vaccine, it pops up with these other little boxes that show me some other search terms that I could use to kind of get pictures that are related. So COVID vaccine, virus, COVID test. Some of them are good. Some of them are awful. So again, you just have to like watch out and see what you'd like there. But yeah, it's just, especially with immunizations, you can look up immunization, vaccine, shot, bandage, you know, wellness check. It's just like the possibilities are kind of endless there. So you're also able to look, like this will show you if you can have the photo for free, like on a free account, or if they're available only in Pro, it'll have that little crown on it. But I will say for anybody using a free account, if you find a picture that you really like and you put it into your template and you see kind of like, it almost looks like a chain link fence kind of going through it, that means that it's like a paid account. So either you're going to have to pay the $3 per picture or whatever it is, or upgrade to a Pro account. So I think that is where I'll stop with the pictures. I mean, it's really fun to go in and see all the stock photos and play around with what you can do. Moving down, there's a spot called Elements, which is really just like a bucket of random stuff. So the cool part is it'll bring your most recently used shapes or images up here, which I really appreciate, so I don't have to go find it every time. A lot of these are self-explanatory, but lines, you can create a billion different types of lines and change the colors if you want. Shapes are simply that. So it would be something like this that you can either drag to be partially in the picture or all the way in the picture. And these, again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory how you can just drag from the corner or drag it further out. And there's actually this little like rotating circle that if I want it to be, you know, straight and I want to put some image in there or like some text or something, I can make sure that I have it big enough to fit what I need, if that makes sense. The other thing that we use a lot is frames. So it's kind of nice. These look like shapes, but they have kind of like an Iowa field in them. And you're able to drag those you know, into your template, whatever you're creating. And then you're actually able to pop in a photo. So I'm just gonna do my picture of Danielle. I can pop her in here. And if you notice, like all I can see is her arm, but maybe I'm doing this for Washington County, and I know that everybody knows Councilwoman Danielle. So I wanna make sure her face is in here. If I double click, you kind of get this shadow that shows your whole picture and this little like crossbar that pops up, this tool. So I just click and drag down until what I want is in the picture. I'm trying to think. This is kind of, I think, hard to grasp sometimes if you're newer to Canva. So you're really just gonna have to play around with it a little bit. But the other thing that I will say, if I was like an advertiser for an Apple Watch or something, and I wanted to really zoom in on this watch, I can grab the corner of a picture and I can stretch it to make it huge. And I can focus in and say, you know, these vaccinators are wearing Apple Watches. This is what you need to get. So just know that you're able to do that. I don't use it often, but sometimes if you have, you know, a picture that's a little off in size or something, you might have to utilize that. The other neat thing is the text bar. So they have a lot of like really cool fonts. I'm not sure that we would use a lot of them in public health, but if you want to be a little sassy with some of your posts, you can definitely use that. Yeah, I don't know, they're neat, but like I don't feel like we use them very much. So oftentimes we'll just use like add a heading. And so I can drag that into my box. I can say mask up Washington County. Okay, so here's, I don't want to click around too fast. One of the things that I absolutely love, and I know Anne does too, is a good grid or lines to help make sure that you are set up in the right place. I don't know, and it makes me feel safe having boundaries. So if you go up here on the top left corner to file, you can have show rulers, show guides, and show margins. My favorite thing to use is to show margins. So if you'll notice when I click on that, there's a box inside that comes up. And this is kind of my favorite thing to use because I feel like it makes sure that like you don't have text running off of the page. It usually helps set you up to have like a not too complicated graphic because you're kind of working within a smaller space. So it is absolutely okay that I have like my image, you know, coming out of that box. That is not a big deal. But when I really want to look at like my content as far as wording or information, I really want to make sure that I get it front and center. So that's what this helps me do. Again, I have a variety of things that I can do. If I want this to come all the way across, I can drag. Maybe I want it bigger, so I'll highlight it. And up here is where my fonts are, or my font tools. Again, I personally don't like to go too crazy with the fonts. I think something with a little character is great, but a lot of these do get a little crazy for me. So, but you can decide, you can decide what you want to do within your county. So for anything like a title like that, I really just try to make sure I make it as big as I can, so it can go on one line. I also like to make it bold, which sometimes I have to come down in size. And for something like this, I might want to use like a white color for my font. So I can highlight it, click on this little like A with the rainbow underneath. And again, it'll bring me to all of my brand colors if I wanted to use those. Otherwise, I can kind of go to this like defaults and use these. Any questions here? Nope. I find myself when I'm working in Canva, I really don't like to use a laptop. I like to use a desktop with a mouse, just because I feel like it's a lot easier. I do a lot of clicking. And I do a lot of copy and pasting. So if anybody wants to do that, because again, I don't like to recreate the wheel if I don't have to. So if I like this font, but I want to say something else, I usually just do like highlight it. I say Control C, Control V to paste, and I can drag it where I want. So this one, Danielle is gonna like kill me because she's not on here. But I want to say like Danielle does. So I can kind of play with what this looks like, you know, making it just like a smaller font to show that like it's not my main message, but this kind of adds to it.
And Rachel, Shelley asked, how do you fill the background to match an image background?
Okay, so let me go down here a little further. I don't ever use, let's see, I don't really use these very much, the styles, the audio, or the video, but if you're crafty, you can definitely do that. But down here, there's a little background section that has kind of a ridiculous amount of like patterns and gradients. So I would caution people to be careful. But you can actually, on this top part, they just have, again, some of like our brand colors that I could put in there. Otherwise, you could do something like a landscape.
So like what I'm trying to do is like if I see like an image that someone else has created, but I wanted to put different text and cover up like their text. So
Yeah.
I create the little text box and type that in, but now I can see behind it the old text I'm trying to cover up. If I did background, it just changed like the background of the whole graphic, not just the text box.
Right. I was going to say, if you can't get their original file to do those changes, what I really like to do, like this is my like go-to, is I just get a box and I will make it white and I will just cover up what's here. And then I'll add whatever I want over top of it. Does that make sense,
like
Shelley?
And then just put like a text box on top of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
That's what I would do. When I get in a jam, it's always a white box. That saves me. So, but
I do the same thing, Rachel, and I would just say the one thing I would say that I notice sometimes people don't do, I think a lot of people use that kind of like put a box on top of it, but I always also, after I do that, I will scroll in super like,
okay.
I will, so I can see like the edges of the thing to make sure it covered everything. Because otherwise you get all kinds of, like if you covered another photo or somebody else's background that had like like sometimes the color white is not the same color white you were using or something like that. And so I always scroll in or like zoom close so I can see any big differences between it. So it's an extra step, but same.
Yeah,
same
and
thing.
I don't know why this isn't really working for me now, but on the bottom right-hand side, there's like, I'm at 88% zoom. Oh, I guess it's behind my people. You can zoom in, you know, to 200 or something and just like double check your lines. But yeah, do you guys often do that, Shelley?
Well, if I knew how, I probably would.
That's okay. That's okay.
So like I created a box, but now it's filled in with like to match the template color, but I don't see where to change the color.
It should be if you like highlight the box that you want to change the color of. And then there should be a little box up here that'll have like the rainbow colors that you can click on. Otherwise, if you want, you could share your screen and we could troubleshoot it.
Okay, I see.
Is it working?
Yes, I forgot about that little yellow box. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, and I want to make sure that like people don't get scared because it's actually really fun, I think, to play around with this kind of stuff. And you can get lost in it, but once you kind of practice and work moving stuff around and editing things, I do promise that it gets easier. It's just kind of a learning curve when you're first starting. Trying to think. The other thing that I would say is oftentimes what we do is we'll, this is a Facebook image, but let's say we want to change it to a Facebook banner instead. So instead of like starting completely over, we're able to go on this top blue bar to the resize tab. You can click on it and then it actually gives you a bunch of different options. So if you have a specific size that you're looking for, so if it says we have this many inches available or pixels, you can customize it on your own. Otherwise, it actually gives you a bunch of different options that you could change it into a presentation, an infographic. But yeah, like often we'll do like Facebook covers that look really similar. So what I'll say, we just click on this purple button that says copy and resize. And what this is going to do is it's going to save what I have here. It auto saves like every couple of seconds. This is going to open up a completely different document, but it looks the same. But as you can see, if I zoom out a little bit, this one is not, like a square shape like my Facebook ad. This is longer. So it's like my Facebook banner, the exact size. So I wouldn't want to leave it like it is right now. I would want to go ahead and make sure that I'm like, stretching out to the margins. Maybe I'm going to make things bigger, or maybe I want like a different picture or something in here. But
like, what's the difference of banners and covers? And I've struggled with that with different groups, like to size it correctly.
I honestly think it's just a matter of like naming. I think Twitter calls it a banner and Facebook calls it a cover or something.
Or even like a Facebook group versus a, what's the other one? A page?
Yeah.
A group or a page. They're different sizes.
They may be different sizes, but not enough for like anybody to freak out about. So if in doubt, I would just use a Facebook page layout. Otherwise, you can go in and like, Google or something and find like what the exact dimensions are if you do have a group that you want to use.
Okay.
So, but I mean, if in doubt, like just go on here and look. Like, I mean, they have stuff for like if you're making an Etsy shop and selling masks, they have the shop cover or the icon, or just sometimes there's like really weird places that you need images, and like this is just a great tool to look that up because oftentimes they'll have it. Any other questions from people right now? No. Okay, so let's see. The other thing that I was going to mention is if you're downloading something. So on the top right-hand corner is the download button. Some people get a little nervous when they see the words PNG or JPEG and they wonder like, what am I supposed to do? So I oftentimes use a PNG file. PNG and JPEG are usually like the top ones, but the PNG file, it'll say like suggested on there, but usually they're a higher quality image and work for a lot of social media posts. So that is great. That's what we have selected, but I just want to make a note that the other things that you can do is if you have like a media alert or something like that, that you wanted to like PDF it, you have that option to do that as well in here. But for now, we'll just stick with the PNG file. I keep it to the same size. If you want, you can make the background transparent. Honestly, I don't use that very often. I think the only time I've used it is if we're creating like a logo for an event or something like that. That's usually the only time that I'll check that box. And if you want, you can also compress the file. It'll be lower quality, but maybe if you have to email something, you might want to do that. But I mean, for the most part, when I'm dealing with images, it's like whatever I have to do to get you the highest quality file is what I'm going to do. If I have to create a Dropbox account or send it to my personal Gmail, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't think anything drives me more crazy than like a pixely image. I just don't think it bodes well for the credibility of an organization. So, but yeah, then I'll just go ahead and click download. It'll say preparing my design. And then I don't know if you're able to see it, but it just pops up here on the bottom. And I'm able to open it and save it to my desktop. And then that's when we'll kind of upload it to whatever social media platform we have. So I'm trying to think. Okay, and use PNG if it has text. That makes sense.
Yeah, just so in general with anything, like if it has text in it, it has to be downloaded as a PNG. Otherwise the text so Facebook, particularly with Facebook, it'll compress your image file for you. Like that is how Facebook can have so many people posting images on it all day, every day. And so if it's not as a PNG, it'll stretch your text or move your text around when it's formatting it to different places that it needs to display on Facebook. So a PNG keeps it from doing that. Versus a JPEG, it'll stretch it to fit whatever. So PNG is really important. If it has text on it in particular. Images are a little bit more forgiving because it just takes pixels away from it. But yeah, text it can't do that with.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of like where I'll pause. I just didn't know if maybe like if somebody has something that they need created that maybe they could like dictate to me or the group and we could create it, or I don't know if anybody has any like specific things that maybe we didn't address, we could also go over that again. I'm kind of open. I was gonna say, Shelly or Brad, do you have any images that you're working on creating right now?
So like this morning, Cerro Gordo County posted a graphic. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was a state graphic with the red, green, and yellow and orange, like percentage of people vaccinated in the counties. But there was a typo in population was population. And so I'm not sure who created that graphic to even ask them, like, do you guys realize this is a mistake, or, you know, where did it come from? You know what I'm saying? So like to cover up that little sentence. I've asked a few people,
Go
but
inside that while we're talking, Rachel, and I can down and we can maybe use. I'll send you the file really quick. But yeah,
I think I might be able to.
Pretty funny. That's a good typo. Rachel, I think one of the things that really like still frustrates me sometimes is when I try to use a template and the text is grouped in an awkward way. So I was wondering if, for my own benefit, if you would go over how you address that, because I feel like sometimes I want to use like half of a template, but not the whole thing.
Let me find. That's a really good question. I'm just going to use a Valentine's one. So this is just the Valentine's template, and we'll look like, so Anne's talking about this, like, you know, we can put in adopt, don't shop, but we want to change it to like the Iowa Humane Society or something, or we want to take this part out. She can't do it because this text is all grouped together. So you'll see when I click on the Pup and Kitty Love Society, one box comes up. Adopt, don't shop is another box, and be more than a friend, be a hero is another box. So, and what I like to do is I will just like make sure, sometimes I'll like, you know, tap and then come down so that all of this is highlighted. It's all in one box. And up here on the right-hand side, you can click on Ungroup. You see that? So this will ungroup these so that they are just single text boxes. So I can like move them around to be whatever I want. The one thing, like once you get things where you want, you can also kind of like, I don't know, lasso these again, and I can hit group and they'll be back together. The reason why you might want to do something like that is like, if you have, you know, a bunch of these hearts or something like that, you're like, if somebody moves these, they're all going to be off and like, this won't make sense anymore. So you might want to highlight all of them and group them. And this way they all move together forever until you, until you decide not to. So again, I will use that sometimes, like, especially on, you know, more like bigger files, like a conference brochure or something like that, where I have like logos that it's like, these cannot move. Like I've worked so long to get them in the right spot. I can put them all together. So they're kind of locked that way.
Awesome. Thanks, Rach.
Yep.
So I just emailed you the population Graphic. I think CG ripped that from the state. Like, I think it's just a screen share of something the state posted. So that's probably why they didn't fix it. But
Okay.
I think you can still show a way to fix it. But Mary also asked, can you show a multi-page document template?
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I just changed it to like an Instagram post template, which is not that different from Facebook. I'm going to go into I saved it to Anne, if only I can find it. This is the one, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this, to be fair, this file does not make my heart happy because I think it's stretched for some reason, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do anything
Yeah, this
about
file
that,
is a great example of what not to do. No offense, Gordo, I don't think it's their fault, but yeah, it doesn't,
no.
the shape is not correct.
And I'm trying to find like, where did this come from? Because there's a lot of numbers on their site, or on the state site, but none of them are percent by population. Like, did they do this on their own, or I don't know.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, especially for images like this, I'm a fan of like dates that are on there that would say like compiled from, IDPH daily COVID report at this website or on this date, because the Facebook algorithms are weird and sometimes people are seeing it, 3 days after you post or something. So I just feel like it makes sure that people are getting the information that they need. But yes, so population is spelled incorrectly. So what I would do is I would just add in a text box. I'm going to drag it up here so I can see it. And then I'm just going to write the whole thing again. Population prior to 2/8. Okay, I think that text looks right. This is, again, where I would use like the white box to save myself. So I just kind of like to tuck it in here, and then I just will bring it up so this is all covered. The other thing that you could do is like if you had other people working on this, you could group these two together. So your original image and your white box, I can group them together so that they'll never leave each other. And that might be helpful, because if you have somebody that doesn't know that this is a change file, they might move things around and kind of mess it all up. But other than that, I would just drag my text that I wrote here to the top. And I don't know, right justify, bold, can make this a little smaller. And again, this is where you might need to use like the position. Let's see, because originally when I put it on here, it was like the text was at the top layer. So everything was great because we can see the text over the map. But sometimes you might have something that doesn't work that way. So you'll want to use the forward and backward tool. That makes sense, Shelley?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, and then Mary wanted to see, Mary, what about a multi-page document or you just want to see what it looks like?
Well, just to see how like a front page would look different than an inside page.
Okay. I am gonna go up to the search bar and I'm just gonna type in annual report. I think a lot of local public health departments do annual reports. So I'm gonna go to templates. These are all the templates of an annual report. So I'm just gonna choose this guy. So something that I also really like about Canva is the pages are all together. So you just scroll down to see all the rest of your pages. So that's wonderful. I also really like that it indicates what page you are on, and then you can add a title to your page. And these are just like a working title. So I really like that when I'm working on projects because I can kind of put in placeholders to be like, oh, this is where the Iowa map is going to go, or like, oh, this is where the contact information is. So that is wonderful. If you want to add pages, you can like right down here, it has add page. That'll just add something blank. If I wanted to have like let's say I really like this page layout, I want to make a duplicate. Right up here, there's, I don't know, it looks like 2 cards on top of each other. That's to duplicate the page. So if I do that, it duplicates, and then these arrows are what will move it up and down. So if I want this for the last page, I'll just keep sliding it down until the end. So does that make sense, Mary?
It does. Thank you so much. Very, very helpful.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's
Very
really
easy. Yeah,
really
thanks.
slick. Yep. I'm trying to think of what else. Anne, is there anything that I'm missing?
Think so. I mean, I think the thing about Canva is I think it's important to like kind of set up a little workflow for yourself, like have an idea of, particularly for, for IPHA and for the COP, we mostly use it for social media posts. Like I have not used the report function a lot. So that's really interesting that what you were just showing with Mary, but for at least for social media, I feel like the copy feature is my favorite thing, because as you know, from looking at things that I run by you, I like to make different versions of stuff and then kind of sit on them for an hour or two and then maybe come back to them and when I like best. Or if I'm using different color combinations or different lines or stuff. And so I think that's the big thing, is it is easy with like a new technology to just kind of like play around and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm turning it in. But to really like, I feel like to have an objective sense of like what's good and what needs to go on your social media, sometimes you need to give yourself a little bit more space. So that was, I guess, the one thing I've learned about myself since using Canva much more frequently, is that copy and kind of make multiple copies of something is a huge time saver, as opposed to like starting fresh every time. So but you already kind of went over that with the things.
Yeah, and I would say the Canva posts, to my knowledge, like when you post them to social media or something, like you're going to need to follow it up with text, especially for folks that might have text readers or be unable to view graphics. So while I think that they're really important, I think you also need to know that you're going to have to follow up with some sort of like basic text in there. But that's why like my favorite thing is just to keep the graphics really simple. What was I going to pull? I pulled a couple. Can you see that, Anne, or can you still see Canva? Can you see Wakelet?
No, I can see your the Wakelet.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there's some health departments that have just made like a COVID-19 update image with their logo, and it's like that has so much utility. So much utility. If you just create that, it's one and done, and then you just put in there, what your text is. So I would encourage, like, I know that everybody like does not have a lot of time. So just like anything that you can repurpose, do that. And anything that you can just make like the simpler, the better. Just so that, you can easily adapt it later, because you don't have to have like a perfect graphic for everything that you post. But I was going to say, I am always available. Like I said, I've just worked a lot in Canva. I'm not necessarily an expert, but I like it a lot, and I like figuring out its quirks. So if anybody does have any questions at all, or you come across something on a Thursday and need some help, if you want to email me, I will do my best to get back to you, and I can help you, or we can screen share or something and try to figure out what the issue is. But likewise, I know IPHA and Iowa Immunizes are really trying to support local public health departments as much as we can. And I know that that's so hard, because it's like, what do you want? And you guys are like, we don't know what we don't know what we need. But if you do ever come across anything, or are just like, I don't have time to do this, but like I need, these 5 images or something like that, I really want you guys to reach out and get the help that you need, because I don't know. working with Canva on a like deadline is sometimes not as fun as when you can just play around with it. So yeah, but other than that, I think that that's kind of all that I have, Anne, unless there's anything else that you want to see.
I guess, could you show the color picker? Because I feel like that's a kind of an important thing. Most of the locals in the COP anyway, use the nacho colors, which I have, but sometimes the nacho colors display differently, which is annoying. But we also have a lot of, so like Wright County, Scott County, like a lot of the counties don't necessarily only use the nacho colors or use totally different colors. So if you could go through like how to find a high quality logo or how to pick colors out of something, I feel like that's a Canva adjacent skill that would be really helpful.
Yes. And you can't laugh at me when I say this, but oftentimes it's something that I Google like just when I need it. So let me pull this up here. So this is one that we like to use at the consortium. It's called Coolers. You can click on browse an image. So I will upload an image. See if this will work. No. So you can go in here and you're able to like focus in this little magnifier on the like actual color that you want. So then they have white. Yeah, whoops. Anyway, you're able to go in here and you can actually like export what the colors are exactly. So I want this orange, but honestly, sometimes I use like Notepad, which I know is like really, or what is it? Gosh, what's this super old application? Paint. Yeah, Paint. Paint works pretty well too. So, but yeah, sometimes I'll do these and then you can actually just like export them and get the codes, which I think is super, super helpful. But otherwise, as far as like choosing images, like I honestly don't know what to say other than like you have to talk to your county person or however high up you can go, and you have to be like, give me the original file, because doing something like using like a snipping tool or like dragging and dropping or whatever, like it does not work. It is so much better to put in the time up front and to find that original image and make sure that that's what you're using to upload to documents, because that way it won't be so fuzzy.
I can, we definitely have a lot of folks who probably don't know the location of their logo file. I know I have been in nonprofits before where there is not a nice little logo page for people to just go rip whatever they want.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's just, I think it's definitely worth the time if you can put that initial investment to get it.
So can you share that state image that we just fixed so I can steal it?
Maybe, but I think before you share it, you probably want to know where it came from so that if you get any questions.
So I did just email Jeremy Otto because he's the social media person up in CG, and he's usually pretty quick at getting back to me because I also kind of very gently said, why didn't you cite your source? So we should, if I don't hear back, yes, this webinar will be, we'll put it on the IPHA YouTube channel. But yeah, so if we don't hear back from Jeremy, I will send you an email, Shelly.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think we've been seeing that a lot where, especially some of the bigger counties that have an EPI and are able to generate their own maps or run their own data, post something, and it's not always clear, you know, did something come from the HON? Did something come, you know, did IDPH release something separately? Was, you know, I know there's some other people doing an analysis of some of the state data that aren't necessarily affiliated with the state. So yeah, I do think it's important whenever possible to kind of like cite where the source of the data is, just as a best practice. And that's something Rachel and I have actually like talked about in terms of like Iowa Immunizes and, given that the state hasn't necessarily been putting out a lot of like social media graphics of their data, they've really just been relying on their dashboard. How important it is to make sure there's a date in that image, how important it is to say where this data came from, who did the analysis, that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it today, but if not, we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, and I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I was hoping to put together some sort of like file that had really useful like COVID type images in Canva to send that out to people. So like if they have a Canva account, that maybe they could look up this image number or something, like a menu, to see what might be good in terms of like just diversity and mask wearing. Cause like it's actually a lot harder than you think to find a picture that shows like an immunization with masks, because it's like all of that had to be created within the last year. So it's a little bit complicated.
For sure. One thing I do like about it though is it's Canva, I think, as opposed to many tools that we have available to us in governmental work, because it's an outside solution, they are updating it pretty regularly, and they do, as much as sometimes I'm like, I don't want to show this picture, like needle fear is a thing. So like showing a big pointy needle as opposed to like a friendly cartoon needle is important. And like, Canva doesn't tell you those things. But yeah, if you at the beginning of COVID, I remember when we were doing the Parks and Rec campaign, like I couldn't find an image of anything in a mask. Just a couple months later, lots of stuff in masks and lots of options on Canva. So it is like a pretty wide library as far as like what you get for the money.
Yeah. And I was going to say, just as far as like Iowa immunizes, like Elizabeth was doing great, sharing pictures of people getting immunized. And, finally we were like, do we have a template for this? Like in Canva? Because we should. Like that would make a lot of sense. It would save everyone a lot of time. So now that's what we have. And it says, quote goes here, name goes here, photo goes here. And that's all that we have to do. So she can kind of like batch out her work so that it's just easier. So I think, while Canva isn't like the perfect tool, I think it is just superb for like what it offers and just the usability of it. Like, again, it has its quirks, but as soon as you figure those out, it's just so easy to create a bunch of different stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else have projects they're working on that they kind of, Rachel and I had kind of reserved the last half hour of this for just questions or troubleshooting, or if anybody had a specific project that was kind of giving them fits, a space for people to talk about those things. So anybody have a project that they're like, how do I think about this? How do I plan this out, that they want to chat about?
Thanks, Sarah.
Good to see you, Sarah.
I was gonna say, Brad, I hope this is helpful. I know you had mentioned at one of the Thursday meetings that maybe you needed help.
I was going to town during that, so thank you.
This looks so nice.
Brad, look at you.
Wow. Do you feel like you learned something today? I hope.
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I signed up for the pro part too, so
good. Yeah.
I think it's really so worthwhile.
I was so happy when they expanded it to local public health departments too, because for a long time it was just nonprofits. And I think the local public health being able to use it for free was like a pandemic thing. So I hope they keep it that way. But yeah, this is really this looks really nice, Brad. You did a good job.
There's an art major somewhere in there.
I also love how much taller you are than like everyone else in your office.
I am a giant.
But yeah, no, I'm really pressing the cop right now on pictures. Like that is my new obsession, is more pictures of local public health people doing their stuff. Because people don't understand, like the public just doesn't understand what local public health does. And I feel like it's a lot harder to be mean to people on the phone, or to be like, local public health isn't there doing their job, when you're like, oh, it's a person and they're actually my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So they work really hard. So yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Is the reflection of the Nacho logo, is that your special logo, Brad?
Yes.
Cool. That's kind of like a neat. So you guys, Scott County, Blackhawk County, all have like a version of the Nacho logo that like, I really like that take on it. It's like, yeah, we'll use your logo, but like, we're gonna make it cool.
Can you show us what he did?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
And do you got it, or do you want me to get it up?
If you're already screen sharing, so if you could, that'd be useful.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me flip over. Do you see it there?
Oh yeah,
That look nice.
that's very complicated to start with, Brad. Just show off.
What did you do, Brad? Take us through. What did you do?
I mean, really, all I did was upload the pictures and then throw them all on there, and it's pretty intuitive. That if you have a picture that you want behind another one, you just click on the position, or I forget the word they use, but
Yep.
you could just go behind or in front, and yeah, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so did you use a template, Brad, or did you just say, I want a Facebook post? It was all white and then you just dropped stuff in there.
Yeah, it was just all white.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this actually, I just learned a new trick on Canva the other day, which is like, I am a drag and dropper. Like that is my go-to. Like I like to use the mouse for things, and occasionally we'll even do it on my tablet. But I was watching, so first of all, you can learn a lot on Canva just from like YouTube videos and the Canva Academy. But if you use your, do you see, and I don't mean to critique this, Brad, because I think it's a really, really like minuscule thing. But do you see how some of your pictures have like a little white border on them?
Mm-hmm.
That seam, when you click on it, if you click on the picture and then use the arrow keys on your keyboard, it'll get rid of that.
Interesting.
I know. I just learned this the other day because I was learning how to make a pattern and I kept getting these seams and I was like, what are these white lines? Where are they coming from? And I got really angry about it.
Oh no.
And it took me a while of searching. And then I'm like, oh, here's this very ridiculously simple fix for this problem that I thought was so complicated. So I just learned it, but I noticed it a lot less on yours. I just happened to notice it because I just learned this skill.
Well, now there's
She has her microphone or what am I saying? What am I saying, Anne?
Microaggressions?
No. Magnifying glass. I'm like, what is the word?
Yes.
It's too late now.
Yes. But
No,
yeah.
the other thing, if you don't know about it, that I don't recommend using all the time, but sometimes you need to use it, is on like all Microsoft laptops. You have like what's called a snipping tool. So if you go to search and you type in snipping, it lets you basically like, I can put a square on anything on my screen and it'll do like a screenshot of it. And then I just save it as an image. And that tends to be really helpful when we have information like moving really fast and I need to, get a map or a certain data point or something that I need to get it in to a graphic. That is super, super helpful.
Do you know, Rachel, that if I will one up you,
No.
Control-Shift-S is the keyboard like shortcut to that. So that's how I snip maps, is Control-Shift-S. Because I used to always just like take the full screen share and then have to put them in Paint. And then
Oh no.
And then Googling and YouTube taught me Control-Shift-S.
Sam.
The little hash mark on there, and then from there you can decide what you want to snip.
So good.
I know, sharing is caring. One last step. Yeah, baby.
Yes, but for everybody, I don't know, Christina, I hope that you got your questions answered today, and Shelly and Mary and Kate and Sarah. Oh,
Okay.
Kate. Oh yeah, I forgot Christina doesn't have a microphone.
Yeah, Christina's like, I can't hear you. Kate, and Kate, you're from Warren County, right? I'm next positive Kate is from Warren County because I was just updating my contacts list the other day. But she said, how much is the pro account? And so the pro account for local public health is free. You just have to sign up for their, you have to use your work email and you have to sign up through the like Canva for nonprofits thing. and it'll tell you at first, like you have to be a nonprofit, and that's not true. If you're a local public health agency, you can do it. You just, that information is a little bit buried. But then even if for whatever reason you're trying to be nice to Canva and give them some money, it's like $12-13 a month for the pro account. Like it's pretty cheap in the grand scheme of thing, like compared to like an Adobe suite or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty cost effective for what it is. And actually Adobe just created like, well, not just, but Adobe's created like what they think is going to be a competitor for Canva called Adobe Spark, because Canva has gotten so popular and I think is taking a lot of Adobe's business away for people who don't have a graphic design degree. Mary, did you have any other questions?
I don't, but I was just going to write you on my computer. It's the Microsoft icon Shift and S to do the snipping.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use this now.
So you should try
Yes.
it. Yeah, because I just tried Control Shift S and it doesn't do anything.
Oh, so it's the window. I wonder if it's my version of this laptop or if it's the version of Windows. But yeah.
Because my son taught me that, who works at Microsoft. He's like, oh, use that Microsoft icon. It's amazing what it will, that key. That's the only thing I know, but he said it can do a lot of stuff. No, this is very helpful, and I'm not local public health, but I do public health work, so this is good. I didn't know if I
Awesome.
crashed this meeting or not.
No.
No. It was open to everybody.
Okay.
Oh man, I just got an email back from Jeremy who said the post has been removed. So I don't know if they're gonna fix it or what the plan is. But he just said it's removed. So I'm guessing we're probably not the only one who told them, but typos are embarrassing no matter who you are. Everybody makes them, but
And it had a lot of shares
yeah.
too, so.
Now I'm curious. I mean, I don't think CG is behind. CG is usually very diligent and I think they do a nice job. So I don't mean to speak ill of them at all.
No, that's why I steal from them.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right, Rachel, I think we can let people go early if nobody else has questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll stick on if anybody needs anything, but
Thank
other
you so
than that,
much. This is
yeah.
really, really helpful.
happy trails in your Canva journey.